7:39, going on 7:40 right now. 55 KRC Talk Station. Happy Tuesday, and hail and hearty welcome back to the 55 KRC Morning Show. Congressman Steve Chabot. Always a pleasure to have you on the program, Steve. Happy Tuesday to you, sir.
Hey, Brian. How you doing?
I am doing quite well. Seems to be the world spiraling out of control, depending on which direction you look at it. But I'm looking out my window, and it's a beautiful day out, and that's got me smiling. So, and I saw that Mike Pompeo, the former CIA director, has now been elevated to Secretary of State. That seems like a logical fit, doesn't it, Congressman Chabot? I mean, Director of Central Intelligence, you have all this intelligence experience. You know where the hot spots are in the world. You know who the bad players are. You have all the access to all the dirty secrets, and that makes you a good candidate for Secretary of State, doesn't it?
I think so, yes. I think it was a great choice. I think President Trump is getting a better and better team together. I think he's feeling more comfortable with them. I happened to come in my second time around with Mike Pompeo. We were in the same class, elected him the first time, me the second time, the same year to Congress. And he's really a great guy, smart. He's got great experience. He was first in his class at West Point, captain in the Army, law degree from Harvard, a congressman, as you indicated, the head of the CIA. I mean, who would be better than this? But despite that, the vast majority of the Democrats in the Senate voted against him. So it shows you how political, at least the Senate, has gotten, and it's really a shame.
Well, it's evident how political they've gotten. Just every day just brings another amazing revelation of how politicized things are. This is obviously just an anti-Trump reality. But let's just look at someone who I normally think is a very prudent and well-thought-out individual, Rand Paul. He originally was against the nomination, changed his mind ultimately. What was his objection?
I think, Rand has a tendency to be much more restrained about the United States involvement.
Sure.
Around the world. Some people would say he's an isolationist, but that's not, that's more a negative label. I think he really has a legitimate concern that we've been overextended over the years. Yeah. We have to be more focused at home, and I tend to be a little bit more, that we have a responsibility around the globe, but I'm not going to criticize Rand for that. So I think his was principle. But you look at the vast majority of the Democrats, it was pure politics. I mean, who else could be more qualified? We've already given the details about Pompeo's background, but who's going to be more qualified? But it was just, he's a Republican. He was picked by Trump, so he's got to be bad. And that's unfortunate because, for example, most Republicans in the Senate weren't big fans of Hillary, yet when Barack Obama picked her to be Secretary of State, most of the Republicans, even though they knew they wouldn't necessarily agree with her, she was qualified. She'd been a United States senator. She'd been on the Intelligence Committee. So you want qualified people, even if they, if the other side wins, they have the opportunity to pick their people. And unless there's some reason to be opposed to them, you ought to support them. But right now, all the Democrats in the Senate, for the most part, have said, the heck with that. We're playing politics, and that's it. And that's unfortunately because it's not good for the country.
It isn't. Sadly, I think this is, and I know it's just a rule, but the 60-vote rule over in the Senate, which prevents things from moving forward quite often, they can revoke that. They can change the rules anytime they want. I suspect that's the direction it's going to go, and with sad results, because as soon as the presidency flips or the Congress flips, which it invariably does, everything that was done in the prior administration is going to be undone by the next one because it'll be easier to change legislation. And I just think that's going to create such vast uncertainty. Like you think about the taxation situation alone, businesses booming, and I know you want to talk about small businesses and how things are thriving, but business is booming now thanks to Trump tax cuts. Can you imagine what the business's reaction would be if it flips and they could easily change the tax code again to increase taxes? It would undo all the good that was done instantly. Boom.
Well, it certainly would because, clearly the tax cut is working, and the vast majority of people are getting one. It's something like 90% of the public is getting a tax cut, despite the fact that you got these liberal or progressive Democrats out there saying that, it's bad, it's only for the wealthy. That's absolute baloney, but that's what they're saying. But you're right. If you could reverse this fairly easily, if you just started raising taxes again, which, of course, they're talking about doing at the county level, and you hate seeing that happening at any level. But the tax cuts are working at the federal level, and we need to do more of them. not be raising people's taxes.
No question about it. I'll direct your attention, if you haven't seen it yet, article by David Harrison and Shandi Race, Wall Street Journal today. How bad is the labor shortage? Cities will pay you to move there. They featured Hamilton, Ohio. And the fact that Hamilton has instituted a program to pay $5,000 to help students who move there pay off their loans. It is absolutely mind-boggling, Steve. They're not the only one. But state statistics show right now, at least according to the Wall Street Journal, there are 5,800 jobs unfilled in Hamilton, Ohio, which is only a city of 62,000 people. They don't have enough workers. That's how booming the economy is. And it's just one of many towns across this country. Big demand for workers.
Yeah, it's a good news, bad news story.
It is.
I mean, the unemployment rates have come down, which is a good thing. The problem is the businesses who now are expanding and growing and creating new jobs, and there's a place for people to be working who've been looking for jobs. They can't find qualified people, and Hamilton is an example of where you're seeing that. It's actually up in Boehner's old district or Warren Davidson's new district, but we're seeing it here locally. As you know, Brian, I'm chairman of the House Small Business Committee, and I hear it from folks not just here locally, but all over the country all the time. Now, so what do we do about it? Well, we need to train folks, and there are programs that we have around here locally that are quite good. Cincinnati State has an excellent program where they train folks for these jobs. We've got Diamond Oaks in our community. There's the Warren County Career Center up in Warren County, which is also, of course, part of our district.
I had Butler Tech. I had the woman from Butler Tech on last week. Wow, what a great program that one is.
Oh, it's a wonderful program. They've got a really cool-looking building there off 75. If you're driving up there, it's kind of, if you're heading north, it's a reddish kind of modern building on the left as you get up into Butler County. But we've got some great programs around here. And, of course, a lot of parents want their kids to go through four-year college programs, and that's great, if that's what they want to do. But there are, of course, opportunities out there. Not everyone has to go through a four-year program, and we need to kind of relook at things in this society. I mean, do we need a whole bunch of new English graduate majors, for example? Probably not. Yes, we do need some English teachers, but not in abundance. Fine arts, those are wonderful things, but we also need folks that are willing to go out there and work on machines and make our community work and create those products out there that we all purchase.
One editorialist, before we take a break here, because I definitely want to talk about North Korea when we come back, but one editorialist pointed out, if you're getting a degree in anything that has studies after it, you are wasting your money. Congressman Chabot, you don't need to comment on that. Let it just float out there for people. 7:51 right now. If you about Care City Talk Station, Brian Thomas here with Congressman Steve Chabot. Talking about some of the key issues, and of course North Korea is a big one. Congressman Chabot, I think it's a bit premature to start talking about Nobel Peace Prize, given that we gave one to Barack Obama for doing nothing. I'd like to actually see something concrete before awards start getting handed out, but it's certain that Donald Trump's made some progress in getting Kim Jong-un to the table. Or is it perhaps that Kim Jong-un almost blew himself up and realizes that his people and his army are starving, and that he has an absolute 0% chance of winning any conflict because his people are starving? So where is the answer on this one, Congressman?
Well, I think it's a mixture of those things. I think what it amounts to, Nixon went to China, Reagan went to Russia. And now Trump is going to be meeting with Kim Jong-un, North Korea. I think it's certainly far preferable to war. And I think essentially what happens is we have something unusual with this president who really was very vocal, really ratcheted up the sanctions on North Korea. They were feeling the pain. Unfortunately, the vast majority of the people in North Korea are really on the verge of starvation.
Yes.
And he has used most of his resources to pay for this bloated military that he has, and also the hangers-on, the regime flunkies that keep him in power. And the president threatened him. And this is a president that actually follows through on his promises. And I think Kim Jong-un realizes that, and he didn't want to be next on the list of promises that this president has made. And also there was pressure on China to put pressure on North Korea, and it was working. So I think I give the president a lot of credit. Now, that being said, I also would go back to what Ronald Reagan said when he was negotiating with Russia. He said trust but verify. I would go even further and say distrust and verify. I wouldn't trust North Koreans, but that doesn't mean that these meetings can't be productive. I think they can be. We don't know if they will be yet. So let's hold off on Nobel Prizes until we see how this works out. But he is at least earning it, something that certainly didn't happen last time around.
I just don't know what Kim Jong-un has to gain from ideological purity, which is all this is about anymore. I mean, he would benefit immeasurably from being a little more broad-minded with his borders and some political reforms, perhaps, or just ending the nuclear program alone without changing the political dynamic would open up the borders in terms of trade and allow him a little extra money. It's just good for everybody all around. China, don't you think China is always going to be there, some sort of big brother protector of North Korea anyway? We're not going to go in with tanks if North Korea drops their nuclear program.
Yeah, I think that's right, and I think you're absolutely right. It would be in North Korea's interest, at least the vast majority of the people there, most of whom are literally starving, for them to open up some. It would be good for everybody there, but the leadership there thinks about one thing, and that's what keeps them in power and what keeps them in the luxury that they live compared to the rest of the people. But hopefully, and I think this is right. He is, I think, concerned about what Trump will do. He's concerned that Trump, by leaning on China, China has been putting pressure on them by cutting back on oil and cutting back on food supplies.
That's always been the key.
Yes, it has been the key, but I also think that Trump needs to study, learn from the past. This isn't the North Korea's first rodeo. They've been through this in the past. In general, they wanted food and they wanted oil, and in return for those things, they would make a promise to cut back on something, either their military or nuclear program, and then ultimately they'd behave for a while, and then they would, in private, move ahead with the program. Then ultimately they'd announce it publicly and want more stuff from the world. And so let's not follow in that pattern again. But as I said before, Brian, I think we were getting closer and closer to military confrontation, and I think this is far preferable, talking about things and sitting down than getting involved in another war.
Yeah, in that regard, I'm more aligned with Senator Rand Paul on that matter, because this whole idea of engaging in another war just is, I don't know, how many conflicts are we going to be in? We're still in Afghanistan after how many years? I'll get a little war-weary out here in the world. Congressman Steve Chabot.
That's to be avoided, absolutely.
Appreciate the time you spent with my listeners and me, Congressman Chabot. Look forward to having you on again. Best of luck getting stuff sorted out up in D.C., my friend. It's not a job that I envy.
Thank you, Brian. And let me just say this. Sure. I hope folks acknowledge and realize this is National Small Business Week, so get out there and shop small. Go out to your local business district, and be a great thing to be a customer there, and it helps all of us.
Heck yeah, no doubt about it. And find a job while you're at it, because lots of them out there. Thanks to the tax cut. Congressman Chabot, great having you on today. 7:56 right now, 55 KRCD Talk Station. Coming up, we move to Lisa.